Hello everyone, welcome to Steven Shinder Reviews in video form. I'm here to review the latest Doctor Who episode titled Lucky Day. I was not a fan of this one. So before going into spoilers, my score is 5 out of 10. It felt like it was going one direction and then it went a different direction, and I just was not into that mood whiplash. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and delve into the spoilers now. So this had interesting promise, beginning with the Doctor and Belinda landing in 2007, and they're hardly in this episode as we find out, which is kind of unexpected to me because I'd heard that Ruby was going to be back for this episode. And so I thought that she would be meeting Belinda, and I even thought that I saw something about them meeting, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, so there's this kid named Conrad. He sees the Doctor um and Belinda landing in 2007, and this sparks Conrad's curiosity as it appears. And then 17 years later in 2024, he sees the Doctor and Ruby land somewhere, and this is around the time of the Devil's Chord because there's a mention of the Beatles. So I thought that was really cool how he's seeing them out of order, and then he has a podcast and is he actually meets Ruby, interviews her, tries to get some info about the Doctor and the TARDIS, and Conrad seems like he's a nice guy. He even kind of looks like the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann, like a little bit, I would say. But he and Ruby start going out, and so I think to myself, okay, this is gonna be a Doctor Light episode, kind of like those episodes in RTD's first Arrow where the Doctor is absent, so we focus more on the companions. And so I was really settled in to this being a more of a slice of life thing, and I actually watched this one at midnight. I felt awake enough to watch it at midnight, and there's all this other stuff with the Shriek, this monster that appears to be a thing. So I'm really invested, and I'm I like that Ruby is adjusting to her new family life with her new mom and still maintaining stuff with her the family she's had for a while, and apparently has met her dad if I remember correctly. And you have this romance sort of blossoming between her and Conrad, and when it comes to confronting the monster, it's like, okay, they're in this together, and you really feel good about where she is with her life now. So it feels very cruel to just pull the rug out from under that and reveal that, oh, this is hoax. Conrad is actually an awful guy. He's just trying to do a gotcha type thing and trying to what he believes is exposing UNIT as frauds, because we're paying them for stuff they're not actually doing. And it's like, whoa, this turned into something else like halfway through, and I'm not liking this direction. Like this, that point, like if you want to do an episode about someone's gripes with UNIT, that should have been separate from this Ruby and Conrad thing that was going on. That felt very. I don't. Here's the thing. The season premiere, we already dealt with an incel, and it was done really well. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. We confronted that issue, and that guy got his punishment. So why did we have to put another character through that again? Is this supposed to be the recurring thing for this season? Because I was so settled into one reality, and then it became another reality altogether. And Conrad is not just awful; he changes his demeanor is very over the top awful, saying, "Oh, I can't believe I had to listen to you for so long." Saying that to Ruby, and it's just why. And like I don't know, it just felt. I wonder if this also maybe ties into. I saw that one of the last episodes of the season, maybe the finale, is called the Reality War. Either the penultimate episode or the finale. So I wonder if that feeds into this. You're adjusted to one reality and then all of a sudden you're shown a different one. Not a literal different reality, but just the stuff isn't what you thought that it was, and that becomes this whole Conrad versus Unit type thing. We get Kate from Unit back, and Conrad is just like yelling and saying terrible things about Kate's dad, the Brigadier, and it gets all confrontational. She basically gets him to see an actual monster, and he's a monster of a sort as well. But yeah, this episode just didn't stack up. And I guess maybe this is a new tradition. Like the fourth episode of each season will be a Ruby centric episode. Last season we got 73 yards. The Doctor only appeared at the beginning and end of that. And then we were following Ruby basically just grounded where she is, or at least not traveling with the Doctor. But this episode, Lucky Day, does not stack up to that episode. And I guess Lucky Day, that kind of echoes the superstition aspect of 73 yards in a way. But yeah, this just did not stack up. And Conrad, even after he realizes that Unit is not fake, he's very stubborn. He tries to, he's very committed to this idea that they are fake. They're using people in alien costumes, and he live streams them, tries to paint them as being phony. Um, and I guess touching on toxic YouTubers and podcasters and stuff like that, which is really weird. Um, that's definitely a thing. It's something in real life I wish would go away. I just wish we didn't have to confront that here in this episode. And look, I get it. I get that someone could seem like a nice guy, and sometimes they're so good at seeming nice that when you find out that they are not, it really throws you for a loop. This had that effect, but you know, I, I get it. Like that happens with people. You think they're one type of person, then all of a sudden, wait, what? You're this type of person? I just was not in the mood for seeing that type of story when I was so invested in what was going on in the first half. What it seemed like the tone and this type of story was. And of course, he is stubborn to the end. He gets imprisoned, and he even talks to the Doctor, and is just main to the end. He doesn't really look like he's gonna change his ways. So in that way, it is kind of like Dot and Bubble, where those people who are awful are just awful to the end. But here the Doctor has a retort to Conrad, saying what his ultimate fate will be. He'll die in prison. And it felt kind of unexpected to hear from Gatwa, but you gotta remember sometimes the Doctor does say dark things like this. Like David Tennant, Peter Capaldi. They've had those moments. Eccleston. Various Doctors have done this, so it didn't feel out of place to me. It just overall the episode felt messy to me, and it didn't feel satisfying to me by the end. So I was just really not happy with this. Um, yeah, I just want the companions to have good lives after they stop traveling with the Doctor, and I'm tired of these these types of awful people showing up in this manner, and it's just I'm ready to move on. I don't know. It's so yeah, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. Each episode of the season so far, I feel like I've enjoyed less than each previous one. So I'm hoping that that trend ends next week. But, the Mrs. Flood of it all, this feels very repetitive. She feels like Susan Twist all over again, where I guess in the first season it was more subtle for a few episodes at first. You'd see her as different characters in the background or whatever up until they point it out and it's more front and center. But here in these episodes, Mrs. Flood has been showing up at the end of each one, more or less. And so front and center, and it's like, oh look, it's Mrs. Flood. What's she gonna do? And it's like, I'm at this point, I just don't care. I'm not invested in the Mrs. Flood mystery. I don't even feel compelled to guess who she might be anymore at this point. Like, what they should have done was had her appear in the premiere, and then we don't see her again until the penultimate episode and the finale, and then make us wonder where she went, what's she up to. But it just feels clumsy the way they're trying to force this mystery of Mrs. Flood. So yeah, I don't know if there's an answer to who she is that would make me happy. I can think of answers that'll make me unhappy, but I guess we'll see. Like, for example, if she were Susan, like, I still want Susan to appear on the show, but I don't know that I'd like her appearing as Mrs. Flood, given Mrs. Flood seems to have her own insidious agenda, at least the way I've been reading into how she's been doing things. I mean, she like has the key and lets out um Conrad from his cell, and it's just yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what they can do with Mrs. Flood that would make me happy, but I'm just hoping the next episode is better. And no, I'm not saying oh Doctor Who is dead. I just am not enjoying uh the episodes like these last couple episodes as much as I was hoping to. So I guess we'll see. So yeah, that's it from me for now. This is Steven Shinder Reviews in video form, and I'll see you all soon.